and welcome to episode 56 of Football Manager 2015 with Everton in the English Premier League. It's the 26th of December 2022, so we are here on Boxing Day, St. Stephen's Day, whatever you guys want to call it. It depends where you're from. It differs, and we've got a live commentary at home against Charlton, which should be a winnable game, but no game is a certainty in the Premier League. But what continues to be a really positive season, I think. You know, this month was one of our trickier months we've had to come through, but it's one we've come through actually quite well, I think. And that was the last live commentary, the great 2-1 win in the Merseyside derby away at Anfield. Galloway and Isaiah Brown both on the score sheet. As you can see, since then we've had 6 games, we've won 3, drawn 1 and lost 2. Unfortunately, the 2 losses though weren't the best. And we'll start off with the one away against Chelsea. Now Chelsea were unbeaten at the time, and I believe they're still unbeaten. No, they've lost once. Okay, they've lost once. We're at Boxing Day. They've only lost once. We took the lead. Carlos Soto gave us the lead in the 24th minute. Vincent Aboubakar, though, quickly made it 1-1 in the 28th and then turned it around in the 35th to make it 2-1. Stuart English made it 3-1 in the 57th before he scored again to make it 4-1. Ashani Finlay made it 4-2 with a good goal from him, but then Stuart English made it 5-2 and completed his hat-trick. It was one of those disappointing ones because we could have taken something from the game. Like our defending and goalkeeping wasn't great on the whole. Like as you can see, those ratings across the back were not outstanding, and rightly so. We had 4 clear-cut chances though, plus 2 half chances, which we only took 2 of. I think one of those half chances we took, and only one of the 4 clear-cut chances we took. So you got to be more clinical, especially against a team who at the time hadn't lost a game all season. You had to take the chances you got, and we didn't. And again, as I said before, we defended poorly, and they really capitalised on that. Only 8 shots on target for them, but yet they scored 5 goals. That shows you great clinicalness. Don't know, clinicality? No, that doesn't say it right. Clinicalness. Stuart English getting a hat-trick. He's only scored 4 goals so far this year, and 3 in the league, and all 3 of them were against us, which was a bit of a pain. But nonetheless, a disappointing result, but one that I suppose was expected, and through our good form it was always going to have to come to an abrupt end at some stage, I suppose. The good thing I found was that we managed to pick ourselves up quite well in the next game at home to Southampton, which again was no pushover of a game, but we made it look like it was a bit of a pushover. Ashani Finlay gave us the lead in the 13th minute. Haris Seferovic did equalise in the 23rd minute to make it 1-1 at half time, but Isaiah Brown scoring in the 51st and Ashani Finlay getting his second in the 73rd made it 3-1 and just kind of completed a fairly simple second half. Like the second half, there was no real worries for us, especially after Isaiah Brown made it 2-1. And throughout the whole match, there wasn't much to be concerned about. They did have 2 clear-cut chances, but we had 4, and we had also 5 half chances compared to their 0, and 63% of the ball. So it was kind of ideal in that sense that we did dominate the game from start to finish, really. Like they had the odd chance, of which they took one of them, which unfortunately denied Ryan Wilkinson of another clean sheet. But nonetheless, a good victory, a very good victory, and Ashani Finlay getting another 2 goals, which is always ideal. Then we travelled to the old stomping ground, Villa Park, and another disastrous performance on the road against a big team. Now, Villa and Chelsea, you're getting to the stage where they're 2 of the biggest teams in the league, like Chelsea always are. Villa, really, without boosting me up too much, but because of my foundations I've left there, they have an excellent squad to work with at Villa. And they've added some decent additions. They did lose Bonazzoli, which I thought was stupid, but nonetheless, they've added in some good additions, and they're now one of the better teams around. Despite this, we did take a 2-0 lead after just 9 minutes. James McCarthy scoring in the 3rd minute, and Isaiah Brown in the 9th minute. But from then on in, it was an absolute disaster. Wellington made it 2-1 in the 12th minute. Gina Peruzzi scored. It's like bloody hell, Peruzzi scoring in the 28th minute. Boye made it 3-2 in the 59th before he scored again in the 64th to make it 4-2. And Wellington completed the rout in the 73rd minute. Manfred Gutze did get sent off in amongst the riots against his old club as well in the 62nd minute for a second bookable. And it was the second game in 3 that Ryan Wilkinson had conceded 5 goals. And I think after this game he was dropped. But look at somebody like Wellington. We didn't get to use him. Like, he'd only just joined pretty much when I got sacked. Bringing him in for 1.8 million. He went out on that loan to Nice last year, where he wasn't great, but he's come back and has scored 7 in 9 in the league. And he looks a very promising striker. I'd be surprised if he doesn't go all the way. And Lucas Boye, he was always a solid enough competitor for us, and nothing really has changed. He's also got capped for Argentina, so it's good to see something like that happen. But it was a disappointing result, especially after being 2-0 up after 9 minutes. I thought things were going completely to plan, but we just fell apart, really. But then, again, fantastic bounce-back ability, because we played away then in the Capital One Cup quarter-final away at Spurs in Wembley. Spurs now play at Wembley. And I was fearing the worst. Spurs is still a decent enough team, but I really want to do well in the Capital One Cup. And we managed to pull out a fantastic 3-1 win, completely against the odds, considering our little kind of stumble in form. Carlos Soto really getting us over the line. Him, and also a rare start for Marcelo Baragatti, who we actually played behind the striker in this game. We played him in the AMC, which he, like on that, it says he's not great at. But he's got some he's got some tidy stats actually for a shadow striker. He's not got them all, that's for sure. He's not a great finisher. But, you know, he's got some half-decent stats for it, and I think, or attributes even. And I think if kind of groomed well, he could still play quite well in that position. But he did in this game. He set up Soto to give us a 1-0 lead in the 14th minute, but Suso did equalise fairly soon afterwards in the 22nd minute, before Baragatti managed to get on the score sheet himself with his first goal for the club in the 54th minute, before Carlos Soto gave us a nice little 2-goal cushion in the 65th minute to give us a 3-1 win. And if you look at the match stats, we were well value for our win. 17 shots, 60% of the ball, 3 clear-cut chances, 4 half chances. Like, well worth it. Well worth the win. And a fantastic win away from home, and kind of, as I said before, completely against the odds, considering I was expecting another poor enough performance. As you can see, Andre Blake finally kind of got back in the team for this one, and he kept relatively well. 6.9 is fairly standard for a keeper for a decent performance, so wasn't much to say against it, really. Now we played at home to Portsmouth, and Portsmouth have really been the whipping boys again this year in the Premier League, and it was no different at home here at Goodison Park. They gave us a little bit of a scare. Dave Evans, he opened the scoring in the 5th minute for them to give them a 1-0 lead. I was thinking, oh my god, we're surely not going to screw it up at home to Portsmouth. But Carlos Soto made it 1-1 after 17 minutes, which kind of eased the nerves. And then Isaiah Brown scored from the penalty spot in the 34th minute, before 2 goals fairly early in the second half, 48th minute and 53rd minute, completing a hat-trick for him. As you can see here, he's entered a nice little vein of form in the last month or so. And we won the game 4-1, which was a good win, you know, again, well worth the win in the end. It was just a little scare at the start. Well, it definitely was a scare, I'll give him that. I'll show you the league table in a second, but Portsmouth are not doing well, and it looks like they're destined to go back down. And the last game before this episode was away at the Emirates, and especially after our last 2 kind of big away ties had been against Chelsea and Villa, and we both lost 5-2, I was fearing the worst. But we managed to come out of the game with a 1-1 draw, which I thought was a decent enough performance in the end. Aaron Ramsey scored a penalty for them in the 14th minute. I was thinking, oh god, it's not going to be our day again. But Isaiah Brown quickly equalised in the 24th minute, and realistically from then on we should have won the game pretty comfortably. 23 shots to 9. They only had 1 shot on target, which was the penalty. We had 4 clear-cut chances to their 3, 2 half chances to their 1, 54% of the ball. So we probably just about edged the match stat, but we just couldn't find that winner. Yuri Tielemans played very well in middle of the park, get a man of the match at 8.4 rating. He's been extremely good, not quite good. He's been extremely good since joining. 19 games, 2 goals, 6 assists, 7.24 average rating. Everton are finally the first team on this save that are actually giving him a real run out, and he's been well worth the loan deal and the loan fee. Carlos Soto just had a bit of an off day in this game, a 5.8 rating for him, but that's going to happen, I suppose. So anyway, that means in the league we are in 3rd place, which is still a very respectable position. I think we were in 2nd at the end of last episode. We've dropped a little bit because of the losses to Chelsea and Villa, which means we're just behind Villa on goal difference. Same points, 36 points apiece for us. They've got a goal difference of 14, us 12. Of course, we've conceded 29, which is actually relatively high. You know, it's 8th worst, I think, in the league, but we've scored 41, which is the 3rd best. So we're kind of counteracting it with a lot of goals. It's still very tight in amongst this pack here between kind of 2nd and 7th. There's only 4 points between them. But yet, Chelsea are 9 points clear at the top. 14 wins, 3 draws and 1 defeat from 18 games is not a shabby effort whatsoever. Oh, anyway, as I said, or as I didn't say, unfortunately, we got through to the Capital Cup semi-final with that win over Spurs. We have been drawn against Chelsea, which is not going to end well, especially considering the other semi-final was Swansea and QPR. It was a little bit harsh, but I suppose we got to give it a good stab. I think probably the 2nd leg of that will be our next episode, but I'll get into that later. Later in the episode. In terms of player stats so far this year, Carlos Soto is still the top scorer with 16 in 19. Isaiah Brown has now got 12 in 19, but all those have come in the league, which I think means he's the 4th top scorer in the league. Yeah, he is. There he is. So good for him. Finley has also got 11, which is great. Lavaja 3, Tielemans 2. Provider, Finley with 13. Tielemans and Corchia with 6 apiece. Soto and Brown with 5 apiece. Average rating, Finley 7.55, Soto 7.29, Brown 7.25, Tielemans 7.24, and Corchia 7.17. So really kind of the main players have been our top performers, which is ideal, really. Yeah, and hopefully they can perform again at home to Charlton today. As I said with Portsmouth, they are really the whipping boys this year. 18 games, one win, which is at home to Watford, 5 draws and 12 defeats. Only scoring 10 goals and conceding 40 with only 8 points. Already 8 points adrift. Well, 8 points from safety. Only 2 points adrift from Wigan, but 8 points from safety. So it's going to be a tough ask for them to stay in the league this year. From our point of view, I'm looking European spots already. You know, I know it's only halfway through the season. Like this game will signify halfway after this game, 19 games. But like, there's no real reason after this early start, unless we go on an absolute stinker of a run, that we don't finish at least 7th. You know, within that kind of the bracket I was talking about between 2nd and 7th, because then there's another 4 points to Liverpool. So we really should finish in that bracket. Whether we finish in that top 4, which would be an excellent season, and one I'm not expecting because of our kind of goalkeeping issues and because of a few little hitches in the defence every now and then, I doubt we will get into the Champions League. But you never know, I suppose. So I suppose we're going to advance into today's game today. Boxing Day should be a pretty big crowd. Everyone should be in decent enough spirits. Blake is going to start in goal. A back 5 at Matt Dance, Denswell, Galloway, Besic and Corchia. McCarthy and Tielemans in the middle with Finley playing off Brown and Soto. So of course that like threesome really of Finley, Brown and Soto has been the 3 that have started pretty much every game as long as kind of they're all fit. It's just kind of picked itself all season long, and I wouldn't change it really for the world at the moment. Like, they've all been fantastic for me, especially Isaiah Brown in the last month or so has really started to turn it on, despite still being unhappy. So I'm really, it's going to be a fight against me to keep him at the club over January, especially with teams like Arsenal and Villa sniffing around. But they'll have to stump up. Like, I've put an asking price of 40 million on him. I think that's what he's worth if I'm going to actually sell him. But if we look, can we have a look at his form? As you can see here, the last few games, like 1 goal, 3 goals. He didn't play against Spurs. 1 goal, 1 goal. No, 1, 1. You know, so a lot of goals. In the last 7 or 8 games, he's probably scored 7 or 8 goals. So it's been a real kind of top performance from him. As we start off today's game. And Tillman's has got it, finds Corchia. Can he whip a ball in? He can. Oh, no. Finley? No. Goes back out to Corchia, who puts one in again. First time. Finds Tillman's this time. Tillman's going to go on a mazy run. Finds Finley. Oh. God, that was a tame enough effort. That was actually a bit of a chance. Because he kind of jinked past his man quite nicely. But then the shot was a poor one. City have taken a 1-0 lead, but Villa have gone 1-0 down. So, interesting start in terms of the other games. McCarthy does well there. Finds Denswell. Can we build from the back here? Tillman's picked up an early yellow card. Matt Dance. That's a good ball through. Carlos Soto is in behind. Oh, and it's a fantastic save by Jordan Pickford, I think, in nets. It just crept agonisingly wide. Because it still could have gone in, even though the keeper saved it. But it just trickled the wrong side of the post, which is extremely disappointing. Kwado Asamoah, of course, an ex-Everton man. We sold him to Charlton this year. I don't know how he's actually been doing, as Matt Dance picks up an injury. And that is disappointing, because Matt Dance has been actually a solid enough performer for us this year. Sead Kolasinac is going to come on for him. So not a bad replacement, but I prefer Matt Dance in the team because he's an Everton-born sort of guy. Like, he's that homegrown player that most people, like, I'd prefer to play a homegrown player than somebody like Kolasinac, who's older. He's a weird country, I think, Kolasinac. Oh no! Disaster. Martin Sabo has scored for Charlton, and we've dropped down to 4th place. That really is a disaster. See, that kind of highlights the issues at the back. Like, we'll have a look at this in 3D, but, you know, there are problems back there. Gnabry puts in, like, a decent enough ball, but it's really nothing that the defence can't handle. Within Galloway and people like that are all 3 centre halves are really just looking at each other, rather than one of them just putting their foot through it and getting rid of the ball. Like, it only takes one hoof to kind of get rid. But instead, they're all looking at each other, look like expecting. Oh, Kolasinac comes in late and really should score there, and that's an extremely poor effort from the left wing back. But somebody's just got to take the initiative in those situations, and at the moment, nobody is. There's not really a real leader back there, which is something I worry a little bit about. That there isn't just that quite that Balanta sort of figure at the back who's gonna be like the Vincent Kompany of the team and really be the leader of the team. There just doesn't seem to be anybody like that at the moment, and this has really led to a frustrating first half, which I think we're going to go in 1-0 behind, unless it gets even worse here. Andre Blake, let's take a touch, make sure we find a man with our kick. I prefer to go short because that would ensure we find a man, but he's gone over the top. Carlos Soto's in behind. Oh, great goal, Carlos Soto. And Andre Blake with an assist. Great ball. To be fair to the lad, it's complete Route 1 football, but sometimes you just got to go back to basics. And Soto with a great touch here, a nice little flick on to himself, then takes it away from the centre-back, jinks past the other centre-back, and then the keeper is in no man's land, and he's able to pretty much nestle the ball into an empty net. And it's 1 apiece now, but they've got the ball immediately back in our zone, and Kane, and it's going to be a corner now, so we've got to make sure we we play this out well. João Moutinho's playing for them. Asamoah, oh, fuck off. Quado Asamoah's first ever goal for Charlton. And we've gone 2-1 behind. We've just equalised after 25, half an hour of pain trying to get back into the game. We finally do so. And then that is sloppy. Who is that? That is James McCarthy, who hasn't gone with Asamoah whatsoever. And it's a free header around 3 yards out. Like, if he'd missed that, that would be a terrible miss. Here's Finlay, though. Into Corchia, maybe a chance. Oh no, Tielemans, Kolasinac, whip another one in, good ball. No, out to Tielemans. Soto, Brown, 2-2, would you believe it? What an end to the first half this is turning out to be. Isaiah Brown continuing his good run of form with the 13th of the season for him. It's a well-worked goal in the end. It comes out to Tielemans, who feeds it into Soto, who's actually unselfish this time around, just a little lay off the Brown, and that's a crunching effort. That's an excellent effort. And it means we get to half-time and we are level, 2 apiece. But a dodgy enough first half at the back. We look decent enough going forward, and have shown that with the goals we've scored. But I suppose the goals we conceded are poor defensive goals to give away. Hopefully we can really stamp down on this second half and make sure the better team win the game. Because I think we are the better team. We've had the better opportunities. We've created much more. We actually haven't held on to the possession that well today, though. I suppose like they've had more of the ball. They've been quite a respectable outfit, Charlton, despite not actually creating too much. They've had 2 shots on target, 2 goals, which I suppose is a little bit lucky, but on the other hand, it's very clinical play. So you can't really argue with it. Galloway's has taken up a knock, so we're going to have to take him off, bring on Nikola Maximovic. Apart from that, I'm going to keep it as it is for now. I'm really hoping at some stage there's going to be a burst of inspiration from one of our front 3. There's already been kind of 2 in terms of Soto's pretty fantastic individual effort, and then Isaiah Brown's crunching effort to make it 2 apiece. I'm just a little bit on edge that we're just going to be caught out again at the back, because we've already been caught out twice. Kind of what's to say they won't catch us out again. But here's Soto's in behind. Oh no, he's missed it this time. It's a good save by Pickford, but could that be the only chance we're going to get it to a bit? Oh no! How did that not end up in the net? Hacked away by Jordan Cousins. So suddenly Charlton really are living on the edge, but I don't want to commit too much just in case, as I said before, we get caught on the break again. But here's Tielemans. A chance possibly. No, it's headed away. I think that's Joe Gomez. Finds Ashani Finlay though, who does well. Finds McCarthy. Out to Denswell. Kolasinac is making the overlap. Swing a good one in. He has. Isaiah Brown hits the bar. Tielemans. Oh, that's an awful effort from Tielemans. We're knocking on the door, but Charlton are refusing to budge at the moment. And it looks like this game could drift out into a 2-2 draw, which really is dropped points from our point of view. It's definitely a point gained from Charlton's. We've had the opportunities to win the game, but we just haven't taken them. And we've missed good opportunities at key times in the game. And it looks like that's going to come back and haunt us in the end here at Goodison Park. And it's a 2-2 draw. It's a disappointing result on Boxing Day for us, because it's a game we should have won probably. Which does mean I think that could be 3 games in the league without a win. Oh no, because we beat Portsmouth, sorry. Completely forgot about that. But no, we've had 2 draws in a row now. One away at Arsenal, which you can't really complain too much about. Matt Dan's out for 5 to 6 weeks with a broken arm. That is disappointing for the young left back, considering, as I said, he was having a good season. But we're going to have to live on without him, unfortunately. A 2-2 draw. Yeah, we've got a tricky enough little run of fixtures coming up. As I said before, the next live commentary will be the second leg away at Chelsea at Lampard Stadium. So hopefully we'll pick up something in the first leg at home. So we might have something to play with going into that game. In between then and now, we've got at home to Newcastle, which isn't a gimme. Man City away, which is a very tricky tie. QPR away in the Cup, which is again another banana skin fixture. And away at Stoke, which are also a tough enough team to go. So not an before the Chelsea home leg. So it's not a easy little run of fixtures over January here. But nonetheless, if we can pick up some wins there, it could propel us into a decent enough position. I think we have dropped into 4th, but we're still well within the mix. So anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, please do give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. I'll see you guys later.